You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Glenn Maxwell has a book out. It's called The Showman and charts his comeback from a traumatic broken leg at the back end of 2022 to being a huge part of Australia's 2023 World Cup win, which included one of the most extraordinary one-day innings ever played.
Everybody here's on their feet. And Maxwell hits it high! Can it make it? It does make it! Glenn Maxwell! Unbelievable! The most remarkable thing you'll probably ever see in cricket. Staggering! Absolutely mind-blowing! What a win! And he should not have to walk off the park. He should be carried off. What a performance!
Yeah, 201 not out in that World Cup pool match at the back end of last year. Woven into the story are some brilliant insights into the events and people that have shaped him into one of the world's premier all-round cricketers. It is a terrific read. Glenn Maxwell is with us. Glenn, congratulations on the book, your first one. Are you happy? How happy are you with the way it's come out?
Yeah, extremely proud of the way it's come out. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of time put into it, and certainly very proud of how it's come up.
Can we start where the book starts, after the prologue and all that sort of thing, with your ankle break? November 2022, freak accident at a mate's 50th birthday. There's a photo. I think that photo should come with a warning as well. Now that you're on the other side of it, how concerned were you initially that it would severely affect your career?
To be honest, I was really naive to how much damage I'd truly done to my foot, and had no idea of the magnitude of effort and time that was going to have to be put back into rehab and training to, I suppose, get it back up to speed to even be 90% of what it once was. And once, I suppose, I got on the journey of almost getting back and sort of having those relapses of pain and having to go through the process all again, it was only then that I sort of understood the severity of what I'd done. And it's hard to sometimes read back through and sort of remember all of that, but I suppose it sort of makes it all part of your journey.
How did you navigate the darkest parts of that, the times when you thought, hey, there isn't a finish line in sight here, I'm not going to be able to do what I used to do? Well,
I to be honest, I never really felt like that. I always thought that there was going to be a way that I'd find a way through, because there hadn't been a hurdle that I hadn't been able to like push through or overcome, and I'd sort of always been driven like that throughout my career to, if you have a roadblock, find a way to get past it and get through it. And I just saw this as another hurdle, and it just probably took me longer to get over it than probably some of the other hurdles that I'd had in my career.
All right, let's jump forward then, because people can read all about your rehab and the endless stuff that you had to do to get right for the World Cup. You got there. I want to jump to your 201 not out, if that's okay, Glenn. Pat Cummins comes in, you're 7 for 91, chasing 292 to win. 3 hours later, double 100 of 128 balls, 21 fours, 10 sixes. The last 80 runs come when you're severely cramping, your body's basically giving up on you. Our own Ian Smith said the most remarkable thing you'll probably ever see in cricket. And you're right so brilliantly about it, mate. What's it like having that moment that people will never forget?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. I feel like I've had moments throughout my career where I've had flashes of really good stuff. I've had incredible teams that I've been a part of to achieve incredible stuff, and to have, I suppose, a moment that people relate to, or people can sort of say that was their where they were moments, that's going to be forever surreal and forever something that I'll sort of just pinch myself and can't believe I've been able to achieve something like that. And I think to be able to sort of talk people through it and talk through the emotions almost sort of humanises it a little bit as well. To be able to, I suppose, speak about it in a blasé way and sort of explain that I was tired and I just sort of wanted it to be all over, and and I sort of had other people willing me through and being able to sort of help me get through that. It wasn't just me on that journey. There was a lot of people sort of helping me through it as well. But it was an incredible night and one I'm very grateful for.
I've watched back the highlights just in advance of chatting to you, and the last 80 runs. I mean, you're just standing there, and you're not moving your feet at all, are you? You're just waving the bat at it, but still with this incredible timing. What was that like, man? In that last 80 runs or so?
Well, I've talked about different stages of this. I reckon I've been lucky enough as a cricketer to have maybe 5 or 6 days where everything goes right, everything hits the middle of the bat. Things go your way and you're able to walk off either undefeated or walk off at the completion of the game. And this was just one of those days where it just lasted for a little bit longer and to a point where my body was exhausted and I was able to almost bat past that point and still be there and still not get dismissed and somehow be there standing at the end of that game. And it certainly wasn't the way I thought my innings was going to end. I think as soon as I started cramping, my back started going. I was like, well, this is going to be over soon. Pat's going to have to do a lot of this work with Zamps and Josh Hazlewood, but hopefully I can get us close and then they can do the job. But just kept on finding gaps, had a bit of luck and kept trying to find a way. Yeah,
remarkable stuff. I mean, earlier on in the tournament, you'd smashed a 40-ball century against the Netherlands, quick-fire 40-odd in the win over New Zealand. But then you fell off a golf cart and suffered concussion, which meant you missed the pool game against England. I'd completely forgotten about that and everything else that happened at that World Cup. How do you reflect on that incident?
Yeah, it was a strange incident because I was concussed and I had a bit of memory loss. I had no idea what happened. So I was on the bus on the way back, so holding my head because I had this nasty cut on the back of my head and I had no idea what had happened. And so I was just confused and then got told when we got back to the hotel to clean it up and that I'd sort of glue the little scratch back together and I still had I had no memory of the incident. I had no idea what had actually happened. And it was a really strange feeling knowing that I was concussed and having this 15-minute window just completely gone. And the next few days were a bit strange. I felt all sorts of range of emotions and then sort of felt a bit of frustration that I was missing out on a game and I was out for a period of time and just decided to do everything possible that I could to get ready for that Afghanistan game and make sure I didn't miss any more.
You won the World Cup in 2015. Was 2023 a bit more special, though? I mean, you write so vividly about it. Was there something a bit more special about winning it in 2023?
Yeah, I think about how much doubts there were and how the World Cup was sort of set up to be India's great triumph. I think the fact that there was a lot of things against us. I think the 2 games that we started off where we played against probably the 2 other favourites in India and South Africa, losing those 2 and to sort of come back from there and win the rest of the games was something that was pretty incredible and amazing to be a part of. And there were so many doubts, especially from back home after those first 2 games, that we were in disarray. There was turmoil and we'd hit the panic button and it was now or never. And we just were able to find a way for the rest of the tournament. And once we got to, I suppose, that final day, there was obviously only one hurdle and it was the home country in India and against all their fans, a sea of blue. And it was supposed to be their final triumph and their big celebration. And to, I suppose, upset that, have a brilliant final where Pat Cummins masterminded, I suppose, brilliant tactical changes throughout that whole innings, was just made it all the more special.
Another underlying theme in the book is your relative lack of red ball cricket for Australia. You've played over 260 white ball matches, just the 7 test matches, none since 2017, none at home. Do you still harbour red ball ambitions for Australia?
Yeah, I certainly do. There's a tour coming up to Sri Lanka at the back end of our summer, and I'm certainly keen to put my hand up for that. It's also in the lead up to the Champions Trophy, so there's going to be a block of cricket there with the Australian side where I'm hoping I'm involved, and who knows what that squad's going to look like. The conditions in Sri Lanka are extremely different to anything we have in Australia, and I'm sure that squad's going to look completely different to what our current national side looks like, and the structure of the team's going to be completely different as well. So, looking forward, I'd love to be a part of that. But if I do miss out on selection, it's probably not going to define how my career has been.
Just want to ask you about a couple of incidents or matches on this side of the Tasman. One of my colleagues found out I was chatting to you, and he said, you got to ask him about the group game at the 2015 World Cup, Eden Park. You guys all out 150-odd. We're cruising 131 for 4. Then you get Corey Anderson out, and all of a sudden we lose 5 for 15. Trent Bolt comes in to join Kane Williamson, and you famously gave it the choke brilliantly to our crowd. Do you remember that?
I remember being on that side of the ground for, I reckon, 15 overs before that, and I was just copping it relentlessly. And then I went back out there when I think it was the 9th wicket was lost, and they were dead silent, and they were just staring at me, and I was like, geez, it's gone quiet over here. And I did that, and oh my God, I just had instant regrets, like just instant. When the things you do when you're young and stupid around a crowd, but to be fair, the crowd took it really well. Like they actually took it, they gave it back, and end of the game, we sort of like, I gave them a clap and said, no, it was pretty cool to be a part of. And but yeah, it's just one of those dumb things you do when you're younger, and I don't know, first thing that popped in my mind that they were choking, and after all the grief I'd been copying for the previous overs, I thought it was a good chance to get it back, and then Kane Williamson just goes bang and hits it for 6, and it's game over.
No, brilliant. I think all the reactions just probably helped that we won, but all the reaction afterwards was just brilliant. The fact that you could give it but also take it as well. The other one was Wellington in 2021. You smashed one of the yellow seats at Wellington Stadium, and the stadium manager at the time got you to sign it, auctioned it off for a charity. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I remember that was that off my mate? That might have been off Jimmy Neesham.
Oh, bound to have been.
Oh, I hope it was. I got him to sign one of his shirts, and I had I think it was signed like 4464464 or something like that.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that was a strange series. That I think that was one of our first ones post COVID, or we definitely did a quarantine, I think, on the way over to New Zealand, which looking back seems ridiculous. It's literally just jumping over the back fence and going to see our neighbours. And to have that series in front of no one, especially after all our history and how much the crowd gets into those contests, it felt like a bit of a shame that we were playing in front of no crowds. And but yeah, I certainly remember that series being a bit of a strange one.
And just something else you write about, 2019, the indefinite break you took from cricket, stress, anxiety, depression. How do you reflect on that time in your life? Yeah,
it's obviously a difficult time, but as I stress in the book, there's probably been other moments throughout my career that I wasn't able to identify what was going on in my brain and what I now know to be clinical signs of what I was going through. And I suppose to be able to assign it a name and assign it a place that I now know how to identify it and how to deal with it and adjust to life with it. It's not going to completely disappear out of my life. It's always going to be something I'm continually working on, and it had to come to a head at some stage. And I'm certainly lucky I had great people around me, and I was able to come back to the sport. I know there's been people that have had it and gone away and not been able to come back, and I was extremely lucky to have the support around me, put some things in place, and to be able to come back and, I suppose, play the game that I grew up loving, to be able to, I suppose, get through it and find a way to, I suppose, play through it as well.
Yeah, it's just one example of many in the book of the roller coaster that your career has been. Glenn, like I say, it's a cracking read. I hope you sell heaps of these. How's your hamstring, by the way? You going to be okay?
Yeah, should be all right. It's just probably a little bit older, and it's going to probably take me a little bit longer to be 100%. I think if I had done this 10 years ago, I would have said I'm back playing next week, but probably going to be a bit more cautious with this one, especially with what's to come at the back end of the summer. So hopefully be back in a couple of weeks, but I'm in no real rush at the moment.
Good man. Again, congrats on the book. Hope you sell heaps. Thanks for having a chat to us across New Zealand.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
No, thank you, Glenn. Glenn Maxwell there. The book's called The Showman. I had the chance to read an advance copy. It's really good. Really, really good. That incident back at Eden Park in 2015, I remember that so vividly. So much about that Cricket World Cup stands out to me. But that game when Trent Bolt basically knocked them over for 150, we're cruising, and then we lose 5 for not many, and Glenn Maxwell giving it the choke to the fans. What a great opportunity to hear his perspective on that. They, of course, had the last laugh, even though Kane Williamson won that game. They went on to win that Cricket World Cup and the 2023 one as well, which forms a big part of this book, The Showman by Glenn Maxwell.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.